Hey everybody, how's it? Aloha. Yes, I'm having a moment right now. I just was like, bored. And so I was going through some of my old playlist stuff, and I came across Genisis and Abacab. And I listened to it and I just went, oh my God, I forgot how much I love this song. Doesn't that happen to you? I think it's happened a few times here where I've put songs on the channel and stuff that you guys haven't heard for 15, 20 years, 30 years depending. And it brings back, you know, like, oh, I totally spaced on how good this was. Man, I need to be rinsing in like some of the older music. So here we go. I'm just going to have fun. Obviously not a reaction. This is just kind of a chill sessions. But now I'm going to listen to it with these ears as your old composer here on the Decomposer Lounge and pull out what I believe are some of the most fun parts about a track. In this case, you know, this one. I know this one. It's my channel. Here we go. You know the spiel. Want to buy me a cup of coffee? Super cool beans. All right, let's do this. Genisis Abacab. All right. How is it that this song doesn't have the most perfect elements for the kind of stuff I've been doing on this channel? The syncopated compositions, the opening line with the guitar that brings us in. Now, obviously, the drum playing is as square as could possibly be, you know. 4 on the floor, you know, just keeping the pump going on the 8th notes on the kicks and stuff, and just straight. But every other bit of the arrangement is so freaking cool. Without a doubt, one of the things that really truly hooked me as a kid, and I could feel it because I'm listening to it again, and I can all of a sudden go back, where was I when I first heard this and all this, blah, 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 is these are these fourths. So what I'm saying is that when the organ is coming, obviously, it is the predominant, in my view, musical hook in this mix, or in this song, because it's forward in the mix. Listen to how forward the organ is back there, and forward the organ is back there. Forward the organ is in front. And those chords that he's playing are fourths. What that means is they're suspended. They start off suspended. They leave you kind of like suspended, and then it resolves. Da 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 da. So that was something that caught me right off at the beginning. And of course, Phil's singing, Phil's rhythmical arrangement of his melody also included on that. So, I mean, there's a part of me that goes, I wonder what would happen if if Periphery got a hold of a song. So, hey, let's do a cover of this, you know? If you take these elements and re-wrap them into the prog rock scene, not that I would ever say anybody would ever do that, because that would be like covering a Zepp track. Not saying that it can't happen. I'm just saying. Anyhow, I'm just glamming on this. Let me just keep going, and we'll continue on. This is a bit of a song here, so let's do this.
Don't you think
how much I love this song. Come on, tell me what is your favorite part of that breakdown right there. What is your favorite part of it? You know, for me that I'm listening to it now this way, that the synth that's happening right after when it first comes through, and that synth arrangement becomes the predominant part in the mix. You listen to the back, you can hear Phil is actually singing the same melody that is within these chord changes, but further in the back. I'm sure you've seen that in the videos or whatever the case is. But even though the drums are going as straight as they're going, how cool are those chord changes and the rhythmical patterns that are going around it, the rhythmical melodic patterns that are going around it. So this is an instrumental breakdown. And to me, my favorite is the modulation into the final phrase before it turns around into this. I want you guys to tell me of what we just heard, what was your favorite part on that one? All right.
It's an illusion. It's a game. A reflection of someone else's name. When you wake in the morning, where you can find it covered in cellophane. Well, there's a hole in the somewhere. Yeah, there's a hole in the somewhere. Baby, there's a hole in the somewhere. Now there's a hole in the somewhere. When they do it, you're never there. When they show it, you stop and stare. Abacab isn't anywhere. Abacab.
Okay, before we rinse on that section, I just want to say that last section that we just heard, I like, you know, how they introduced this kind of swelling synth pad behind the background vocals that would explode. So it was like the synth, they bring up this arrangement up from the synth, and then it drops out and explodes into the background voices. And I thought that was really super cool. And then that whole breakdown, that's the third time that we've heard that little breakdown. Everything about this is such a hook bomb. Everything. Something I did notice though, as I was going, there seems to be a stereo reflection on the kick. So whether it is that they decided to move up the room overheads, because if you listen to the kick, there's actually a little bit of width to it in the post sound. So you have the kick, but there sounds like it's not a reverb. It could be an early reflection, but I'm wondering if they actually did that with just moving up the overheads a little bit, giving it that more of a room sound instead of, usually kicks are very tight and pocketed here and have its own little world, and rarely does it get any effect unless it's a purposeful, let's just go ahead and take the room mics in to give it the power and the ambience on that. So anyhow, let's power on. I'll move back a little bit for this section here. So. Okay, I know we're getting close to the end here. I got to just say, you know what I really love about this is that whole phrase, everything we just heard is in this key right here, right there, or that is the root of this whole passage. And what the synth is doing, obviously this is a wonderful little expose and syncopated rhythmical arrangements and stuff, but is going, the chords that he's working with are major, and then he dropped into that minor, kind of a minor vibe, so it kind of takes you through this kind of hey, ooh, hey, ooh, kind of a thing. So, and also, God, listen to some of the effects in the background. Sometimes it gets lost in the rinse because we're just so into it, which most of it should be anyhow. But since I'm dissecting slightly here, something that I decided to put a little energy into is the effects that are going around in the back. It's more soundscape than it is tonal, but there was one little small sequence of a kind of a, like maybe an analog bell sound that was happening here. It had a small arpeggiation that happened there, very lightly, but it came and it went. So, but that whole thing was just to lock us into this just groove, which I just broke because I stopped to blah, blah, blah. Without a doubt, this was a super untraditionally composed song. And what I mean by that is in the scope of in it to a minute to win it, right? Radio play, 3:30 to maybe 4 minutes long, obviously pushing the envelope here. And this, I don't know, and I really I wasn't obviously I'm not part of the record company. Not A&R, but I don't know if this was slated as a single from this album. And if it wasn't one of those B-side stories that we've always heard on how singles ended up being huge hits, is because back in the old days, the DJs go, flip it on the other side. It was on the B-side. And come to find that maybe the A&R people or the promo department or their marketing people that thought this was going to be the hit, let's just put this on the B-side as a filler, all of a sudden ends up being the biggest hit. And this also didn't have traditional structure in songwriting, as I've talked about before, intro, verse, hook, or intro, verse, turnaround hook, bridge, blah, blah, blah. Everything about this was top to bottom, one whole hook. This is one of the very few songs that I've heard in my life that I could actually say, from the second it comes in to the second it fades out, this was one whole hook. And that also includes Phil Collins' voice and the melody, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So there wasn't anything about this composition and arrangement that I found as like, well, let's just put a little something here, or let's double or triple this, and there's something to be said too about doesn't sound quantized, locked into rhythm, nudged, moved, straightened out. You can hear even with the playing of the keyboards that there's what humanization, if you would, which is funny because in old MIDI software programs like what is it, the Atari ST 1040 ST or whatever, that's what I used as a kid. There was this thing where, like, if you did something in the computer and you would do it with MIDI, that you can quantize it, but you can add a humanization to it, where it would actually kind of nudge just a few of the keys, just a couple of nanofarts from one side to another to make it sound like there's a little bit of human to it. But everything about this is just, we're playing music, And even though there was overdubs, that's going on, obviously, to get all the keyboard parts in there. Live, I can hear it. I can hear just the slightest little things in the keyboard playing that goes, I can imagine him playing, not some kind of triggered module that's being, nodded off in a DAW or something like that, a digital workstation. Anyhow, guys, thanks for indulging me on this. I just was like, needed to do something fun, and there's nothing more fun to me than to do what I do here, what I do on my Decomposer Lounge. Anyhow, guys, take care of yourself. All right, aloha.